Oh shit. Wait. Oh god. Well, thank you very much for the follow. I appreciate it a lot. Be starting in just a minute.
Hello. Hello, hello.
I want to apologize again for the miscommunication. My bad. I'm sorry.
Oh, that's okay. I was avoiding throwing you under the bus into the jaws of justice. I just said we had a mix-up, but
Jaws of
I
justice.
appreciate
yeah.
I appreciate your mercy, good sir.
Oh no,
Thank you
yeah.
for that.
I'm very merciful.
Well, thank you.
The
Um,
Brianna, you'll see that yourself today.
We'll see how it goes.
Yeah.
I'm ready to go.
okay. Well, let me be first. Just for the VOD that we'll be putting out, I will introduce the topic. I will introduce myself. I will give you all a brief introduction, brief, concise opening statements, and then we'll just kind of get into it. To just kind of reiterate the rules here. Um, as I think you both agreed to beforehand. Correct me if I'm wrong. Now's the time to interject if I am mistaken here. But as I see it, let me bring it up. I had it up. Give me one moment. Okay, so yes, scrolled up because I was checking to make sure the time. Okay, so I will only be stepping in if someone is disingenuous or smearing the other person. I will also be stepping in if one person is dominating the conversation, not letting the other person respond or answer the questions. I will be stepping in and muting so that each of you get space to speak. And also, if one of you brings up a topic that we previously agreed not to discuss, I'll step in and stop that from happening. But otherwise, unless there is a question in my mind that I might throw out there, I'm going to let you guys go. Welcome, one and all, to another episode of WIC TV, a cross-ideological space where we come together with a wide diversity of thought to discuss matters of the day. We are joined by the lovely Mrgirl and Brianna Wu to discuss consent today. What it is, where it matters and where it doesn't, uh, how it relates to interpersonal and financial interactions, and yeah. With that, I'm just going to let them get at it. So we'll start with Brianna Wu. What are your thoughts? Let's
What
go.
the fuck?
What the fuck?
You didn't want to start with Brianna Wu?
I think a coin toss would be in order, but fine.
You want to go first, dude? Be my guest. That's totally cool.
No.
So
Go ahead.
yeah, Max. You don't mind if I call you Max, do you?
Not
I
at
feel
all.
like one of the things
Ah, shit, I was
I'm
muted
worried that's
because
going to
of the
happen
starting
today
scene thing.
is
God damn
I've
it.
seen a lot of your statements
I
on
liked that.
this, and I think something you tend to do is to drill down into very, very specific, what we call in engineering edge cases. And I hope you can accept a limitation that I kind of have with my engineer brain. I have a really hard time not thinking about problems in concrete, specific terms. Like, what is the best way forward? So, as we're kind of planning this today, just want to really be direct about what my mission objective is. I am hoping to convince you that your paradigm of consent that you voiced in many, many videos is one that may work in an individual sense, but it's a really, really poor system for not leading to harm for both men and women. And I really hope.
I think that this is a little bit, I think it's actually a lot unfair. She, in the very beginning, she sort of bakes into the whole thing is that she hopes that he's willing to meet her exactly where he's not. And say that, like, well, for me, uh, I care about
Get into
the
specific.
broader conversation, and you seem to be focused on the smaller level where things that aren't talked about happen. And I hope that we can just talk about the thing that I generally care about. Uh, this seems very counterintuitive if you want to have a productive conversation.
And talk about that today.
I've been thinking about this with these like book bannings. These conservatives, they want to get rid of all the books in your kid's third grade classroom. Or they show some teachers TikTok, some teachers being weird and talking about their gay relationship or whatever. And I think there's this homogenizing push. The idea that all teachers should be the same to all students, that all conversations about consent and rape should be the same. And my content is not really supposed to replace your mainstream consent culture feminist perspective. It's not supposed to be mainstream. My my videos about consent or my conversations about consent are for all the strange children, for all the my flock. I'm like the Peter Pan of rape.
I really liked it. I really liked it when he said flock. Like was like, ooh, that's the name of my Discord. Uh, Enjoyed that a lot.
And I collect all the lost kids who got consent but still felt violated, or still felt that they violated somebody else, or who it wasn't consensual and yet they can't stop fantasizing about it. All the sick outliers, all the edge cases. So it's not that I think that the discussion of edge cases should replace the mainstream. It's that I think so many of us are edge cases sexually in one way or another, especially me, in multiple ways, that you, to shave off all the edges is wrong and
Hmm.
inhumane.
I hear you on that.
Okay.
Yeah, I do. And I think for some of the edge cases I've seen you posit on your channel,
Yeah.
I don't agree with many of them, but just for the sake of the discussion today, I would like to say I think that there are some edge cases sometimes that where consent is not clear between two individuals. But where I think would most be helpful to start is, while I was preparing for this, I realized I didn't really have a legal, clear definition of what rape was, right? It was actually really, really hard to find because the
It's
laws
different.
around rape are so
It's
different
different
in
and
various
different.
states.
Yeah.
But something really, really helpful is they actually had the same definition of rape in the United States since 1927. And Robert Mueller actually just changed it to be a very, very updated
Are
definition
you
in the
talking
FBI
federally?
crime report.
Right? Are you talking
Yes,
federal?
this is
Okay,
the
thank
federal definition of rape that's used in the FBI Uniform Crime Report. The penetration, no matter how slight, of the vagina or anus of any body part or object, or oral penetration by a sex object of another person, and this is the important part, without the consent of the victim. So, what I found really, really interesting there is when you get into specific state law, they have a long list of things in like New York about what does and does not qualify consent. For instance, a woman that may be intoxicated, or a person that may be intoxicated would not be able to give consent in any case. So when I think we're talking about consent, in my view, and Max, I really hope we can work here today. I'm asking myself, how can we set some standards of behavior that all of us, men and women, hold ourselves to that make sure this doesn't happen? That make sure, boys don't or men don't end up at the courthouse, trying to defend themselves from a sexual assault allegation, and making sure that women aren't literally traumatized for their entire life. How can we avoid this from happening? What are kind of the standards we need to be thinking about? And I would love to know, just top, starting at the top end, what's kind of your view on that?
Well, I don't agree. I don't accept the premise of your question.
Okay, may make it hard to have a discussion today then.
I agree.
Well, how would you rephrase it, if I may ask, that you would accept the premise?
Well, I don't now I don't know what we're talking about. I thought we were going to have a debate about consent.
Yes,
You are now saying that our role, even in a debate about consent,
yes.
is to collaborate to come up with a list of strategies for society to help men avoid raping others.
I think if we're talking about consent, I think one of the things that makes it difficult for us to talk about this is expectations, right?
No,
I
I
think,
don't. Not right.
well, just let me finish. One of
Okay.
the things in my view is I think there are different expectations from people here. I think men have different expectations. I think women have different expectations. I think if you have various kinks, you're gonna have different expectations. So, in my view, what I came here prepared to talk about today is I want to convince you that enthusiastic consent is the best standard that's going to lead to the best harm with people, the least harm with people. Remember, I'm already agreeing with you. There are edge cases that exist out there. But I'm saying, as an aggregate, if you're a young man out there asking yourself, what is in general do I need to do to make sure I don't end up in court, right? If you're a woman asking
Is
yourself,
that what
how
young
can I
men
make
are
sure?
asking themselves?
I think that there are real questions about that. I think that is why there's a lot of, frankly, I think that's why some of
Oh.
your content has been popular.
Don't try to butter me up.
I'm not. I think there are.
I remember when I watched this first time through, I was just about to say that he was gonna say that. That was that one was like a given. That was a good one. I wonder if I can just maybe I'll just make this bigger and make myself a panelist for this stream. Let's insert myself into the panel. Spots here. That'd be fun. That'd be funny. Let's see. Yeah, that'll work. There we go. And there we go. Cool. I can
Real
continue now.
questions that young men are out there asking themselves. I think they are confused about what the expectations are. Like you yourself has said in your videos that the society is really changing for what men are expected. For women, if you think about it, the generations that our mothers and grandmothers had were so wildly different than
Wait,
today.
she's gish galloping.
Yeah.
She's gish galloping. You gotta
No,
stop her. You gotta
I'm
stop
being
her.
very direct.
Well,
I'm
gotta
quoting
stop
I
you.
her.
understand.
She's gish galloping.
Fair enough. I want to give
She's
you
kind of going
permission
over a
to
bunch of
speak,
stuff.
Mr. Girl, Max.
Okay, I don't know what the fuck we're talking about.
Well, let me try. Let me try that.
Sure.
Wait,
if you're
wait
both
a
okay
second.
with
Wait
this.
a second.
Okay.
No, wait,
Yeah, go for it.
No, I don't want you to try. I want to retort briefly.
So you do know what we're talking about.
No, just let
I
him
know what
retort.
I'm talking about.
Got her.
Okay, there's a few
No,
conversations I could see us
I think it's fair
having.
to not know.
Us
It's a little confusing.
collaborating to help men behave themselves is not one of them.
Okay.
It's we could have a meta argument about. It sounds like you're saying that's what I should be doing.
I'm saying I think it's the most important question. In my view, I
okay.
think you're
What
asking a
I would
question
like
that's
to
not
just
helpful.
I just
Sure.
want to talk. All right, for a while.
Sure.
Okay. It sounds like you're saying. It sounds like the first thing you said was that I focus too much on edge cases, and that really we should be focused on statistical big movements in the middle. What's going to give us the best outcome? What's going to give us the least harm? Yeah, there's situations where the device isn't going to work for everybody, but like basically we should be reducing rape. That's the goal.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm saying I don't think everybody should be doing that. So it doesn't make sense to me for you to take me. I'm like a bioluminescent little magical jellyfish that floats around by thermonuclear vents at the bottom of the ocean. And you're different from the other jellyfish, and you're trying to suck out my bioluminescence and make me into a fucking normal YouTuber. I don't want to do that. That's great. I think it's totally great. If you want to go on YouTube and find videos and streams about how to not rape people in the most mainstream statistically viable way, then that's good. Good for you. I'm glad.
I think it's a lot
I'm glad
simpler,
somebody wants to
Max.
do that, but that ain't my job. That's not what I'm here to do. That's not what God put me on this fucking earth, or the devil put me on this earth to do. It's not what I'm here to do. So I could see us having a meta argument where you're saying everybody should be doing that, Max, because I'm an outlier. So you're an outlier of content creators. So you're saying, Max, you should really be acting like the rest of us. Okay, then we can have that conversation about whether my content is irresponsible or the things I've said about rape, the things I'm going to say about rape are irresponsible. We can do that.
I think something we talked about before this
But
is
I
Okay,
don't.
just real quick. Stop. Just
but-
real quick. All of you, stop. Brianna, you gotta let him finish. You gotta let him
okay, I
finish.
thought he
Get
was
through what he's
finished.
got to
Yeah.
say.
I'm never finished.
I will stop him when I
Yes.
think it's best to do so.
Sounds
but
good.
you gotta let me do that, please.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
Sounds good.
I'm gonna need a firm no from Wick before I stop, because that's how I am. We could do that, but what I don't accept is you smuggling in the premise that we're already doing that. And I don't know why you're reading these legal definitions either, because that's a legal definition of rape is not the same as a legal definition of consent. And the legal definition, by definition, is supposed to be that broad, statistically applicable definition that's going to reduce harm.
Hey, Big C.
Obviously, that's what the law should be. But I don't think we're debating what the law should be. I think we're debating how to talk about this or discussing how to talk. If it's debate,
Okay.
then you're telling me the way I talk about it is wrong.
Then
But
at this point,
I don't agree. I don't agree. I don't agree. Go ahead.
at this point, right? I think that you stating what you think we should be talking about. Well, let's talk about that, Brianna. What do you think? Do you think that that's
uh, it is weird that um how it seems like that the topic wasn't even like fully understood. Um, oh shit, ow. It was kind of weird. It's going okay. I have a humongous amount of work to do. So I am filling orders while I do the stream. Two birds. Um, I'll also though, good news. After this panel happened, I talked to Brianna Wu a little bit, and it looks like we're gonna have a conversation in the near future. So that's pretty cool. She's a pretty interesting person. Uh, nice. I think that we'll have a lot to say to each other.
an acceptable kind of switch or a turn
No,
on this?
I
You
I
don't?
don't at all.
Okay.
In fact, yeah,
Why?
Max.
Brianna.
So I think you've made some statements out there that I think most people would find pretty important about consent. I just
No,
want to
but not
read
all.
this right here.
But not all.
I'm going to ask you, let me finish what I'm saying. If we demand women convince themselves they must be 100% sure they want to have sex, all we're telling them to do is lie to themselves. So, to be clear, before we started, I said, Max, please show me the videos you feel best represent your point of view, what you think has your best arguments in it. They weren't long videos. This one was 12 minutes long, and that was a quote in that video. It's my contention that some of the things you've said about consent are really, really deeply unhelpful. And what I wanted
I want to be clear. His videos about consent, I think, are among the best and most accurate descriptions of the kinds of conversation. Like they're accurate as fuck in that they're more honest and real than anything else I've seen anybody put out on the subject. It's very, very impressive, and it's done in a way that is funny and accessible to basically everybody. I can show those videos to my kid. Like they are completely accessible to everybody.
to do today on this debate is, and let me just get this thought out there. So when NASA is trying to send people to the moon, and they're trying to join two electrical wires together, they don't go to AutoZone and get a crimper and just cut it and do some electrical tape and pop it in the space shuttle. Yeah, the stakes are so high if something goes wrong that it's going to explode, right? So you've got to aim for a much, much, much higher standard. In my view, we don't need for men to lose on consent in order for women to be safe. And I think vice versa, right?
Okay.
The stakes are so high if there's a miscommunication. What I want to talk about today is how enthusiastic consent is the best possible standard for everyone
Okay.
because it's
That's
going to
I
keep.
understand. I understand. I understand.
Sure.
But we got to let both people in here. So do you think that's true, Mr. Girl? Do you think enthusiastic consent is the best way forward when it comes to these discussions?
For all of them? I mean, that's what I keep saying. It's like, is it the best thing to talk about all the time, no matter what's happening and no matter who you're talking to? Or is it the
Enthusiastic consent um, has basically always been the thing that we've talked about when we have real conversations about consent. Uh, Even if we didn't call it that, that's how we have pretty much always described it. Uh, I think it's totally fine to say that this conversation isn't covering everything. We have seen, as time goes on, a rise in people not really understanding things that Mr. Grill talked about, where people feel like they got consent, um, and then later find out that like, oh, I guess I didn't, or they did give consent, and they felt like afterwards, like, oh God, I wish I didn't do that. I feel like I'm violated. Um, Nobody disagrees that informed consent is like everybody agrees that this is like the right way to go. Uh, I suppose every once in a while you'll get some like really weird person who's like totally brain dead and for some reason just can't wrap their fucking head around it. But I think that's going to be pretty rare. And there's no real contention here. So what about videos for everybody else? All the people who are in these weird situations. Situations that nobody really wants to talk about because it's weird and uncomfortable. That's how, or that's why Mr. Girl's videos are super, super valuable.
Statistically, broadly, the best standard to apply generally. If I had to choose one standard to apply to every single situation, would I choose that? But the problem with that question is, and that I think the kind of what I was trying to say before, and the goal of my content is to make content that is for the people who are missed by that, the people who for whom the concept of enthusiastic consent does not fix the problem. It doesn't speak to them. It doesn't resonate with them.
Can you give me an example?
Or it does. Yeah. Well, the quote she said. What did I say? I said, when we try to tell women that they have to be 100% sure that they want to have sex, all we're telling women to do is lie to themselves.
Mm-hmm.
I think that every time you agree to have sex,
I 100% agree with that.
And every time you say no to,
people are exceptionally uncomfortable with the idea of introducing nuance into anything when it comes to sex. Everybody wants super clean cut, like legible from 100 yards away answers about these things. And the truth of the matter is that that's just not how people are. People don't have in them these super clean cut, clear answers to all these things. People are unsure a lot. People feel weird about things and they still choose to do them. Or some people feel very clear-headed about things and then they wish they didn't. This is very, very, very common.
Sex, there's ambivalence. There is some part of you that wants to. There's some part of you that doesn't. And you have to take all of your mixed feelings and synthesize a yes or no binary answer for the person who is trying to have sex with you, or even for yourself. Even if you're just masturbating, you have to think like, well, it's late, I should be going to sleep, or I want to do this, or I don't know, I feel grossed out by what I'm looking at, but I still want to do it anyway. Whatever. Everybody has mixed feelings about every sex act they have, but in reality, you only get to do one thing. So there's many of you wanting to do many things inside of you emotionally, and then but your body is, you know, in reality is only going to end up doing one thing, which means you're doing something that part of you doesn't want to do. And the way we talk about enthusiastic consent does not allow for ambivalence. If you detect ambivalence or enough that you're not feeling super like enthusiastic, then I guess you're supposed to say no, or that is you saying no. But I've not heard in mainstream sex education any discussion of like, yeah, sometimes part of you doesn't want to do it and you do it anyway. Okay. Or sometimes you do want to do it, but you don't do it. And I think it's important to talk about that. So that's what I was talking about. I was saying that like if you try to sand off all the edges and tell every woman smile.
Well, Big C, I think we'd be dealing with a highly contextual situation. And I think I would want to examine what happened after the fact to really decide how I felt about that. I would need more information since I can't see the look. Now, say if you guys met up again afterwards, and after the sex, everything was good, and then you guys met up again afterwards, probably fine. Since I wasn't there and I can't know, I'd have to look at future events. Because consent is complicated.
Yelling ear to ear, enthusiastic consent. That's a lot of sex isn't like that.
Got you. Okay. Well, I want to pause right here and turn to Brianna. So again, you heard him. What do you think? Do you have a response to that? When it comes to
Yeah,
enthusiastic consent, there are
it's the exact
edges,
same thing.
right?
Sure. So look, I'm going to posit to you. I fully agree. There are edge cases, right? Like there are people out there that are, they're into more exotic things, right? I'm
That's not what
fully
I'm talking
agreeing
about.
with you about that.
Yeah. Just
This
to
is
interrupt real
sure.
quick.
Talk about
Just
ambivalence.
yeah.
Sure.
What, for example, if I may use an example, right? Someone asked me, "Hey, you want to have sex?" And I'm not feeling it like 100%, but then they convince me, right? They're like, "Well, what I'll make it work, we'll do some stuff that maybe I wouldn't normally do to kind of convince me."
Ooh.
Like,
Ooh.
you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
there are some
Yeah.
people who would say that the act of trying to convince me is pressuring me, and that is
Mhm.
not okay. How do we square this circle, right? How do we get enthusiastic consent to fit with the places where I think most people
We don't. That's what
we
I'm trying to
don't.
say is
Okay,
we don't.
but I
We
want to
do,
get
we just we don't
see if
have to.
Brianna
Okay.
can. I
Okay.
understand that's your position, but I want to see
Yeah.
Brianna's position here. So please go
Okay.
ahead, Brianna.
Excellent. So I really hear what you're saying there. This is a straight answer. Like again, I'm going to tell you on this call today. My limitation is I'm utterly
Yes,
pragmatically minded.
a
So,
husband can rape his
in my
wife.
view, you can
Well, like,
roll those dice.
hang on. It is possible that when a husband has sex with his wife, it could be considered rape given the right circumstances. I'm not saying that, like, I'm abdicating for husbands to do that. Just answering your question. Some people can't see your question. I just want to make that one real clear. I felt when I answered that, it felt very sussy. That'd be clear.
And try to push through that situation, right? When there is ambivalence there, you know. And this is why I think we would say, if you're talking about women, you could end up in a situation where someone is traumatized for their entire life. I got to tell you, I know a lot of women, and I would estimate at least a third of them have some level of trauma from sexual assault in their life, right? And I mean, this is professional women across politics, across game development, across academia. It's a large group of people. I think
Well,
on the other,
my VODs aren't being
you've got
saved,
situations like
and most of the people are watching on YouTube. I'm gonna wing it. Thank you. Yeah, I thought about it. I was like, it'd probably be fine.
and I hope we get to talk about
Don't
this,
report me.
Lav and Hassan, right? This is someone.
No, I don't think so. But I think that you can probably read your wife's cues too. Big C.
That was just very falsely accused of something. This just an outright objective lie, and she tried to destroy his reputation. And, in this particular case, I think one of the things that really helped Hassan was the fact that he had an entire lifetime of talking about enthusiastic consent and really earning the trust of his audience. So, what I'm saying is, in that kind of
And just furthermore, Big C, I don't think that any of these well, there's a couple more people now. I don't think that the situation that Mr. Girl described in that video is necessarily transferable to other situations. The reason why things are interpreted the way they are is because of all I would say everything that happened within the context of his consent is complicated video really build and amount to what makes the thing okay. So I don't think you could just like slip it into another thing and just say, is this okay? There's a whole ass story that goes along with that.
ambivalent situation,
Context.
what you're talking about It could go either
Wait,
way,
what the
right?
fuck are
But
you
it's
talking
not.
about?
Max.
What are you talking about?
I'm
No,
gonna finish what
Brianna,
I'm saying.
she's gish galloping. Wick, I would like you to stop her. She's gish galloping. You asked her a very specific question about how she squares the circle of ambivalence with her enthusiastic
Wick, I'm
consent.
gonna point
With
this
her
out. Max
enthusiastic
has
consent,
talked
mainstream
for
cons-
2
mainstream.
Both
minutes
of you.
more than I've
Okay,
I'm gonna
that's not.
mute you
already.
That's
both
not
right now
dude.
until
That's not true.
I'm gonna mute you both just so we can reset this. Okay. I'm trying to have the best conversation that we can here so that we are understanding, right? And I understand, like, uh, perhaps, right, Brianna, if you would clearly answer the question that was given, and then we can allow Max to respond. Just be brief, be concise. I will let you have the time you need, but again, conciseness, and then we want this to be a discussion after all, not a lecture. Let
That's
me
fair.
unmute you both and go again. Okay, Brianna, the floor is yours concisely,
Can
and
you
then we will
repeat
pass it
that
on.
question? I just want to
Certainly.
point out Max has talked almost twice as much as I have so
I understand,
far.
but this is
Okay.
Okay, that's not true.
Wick, I don't blame you. God, I wouldn't have wanted to be in your shoes. It was very tough.
Like right here, dude.
I have not been keeping time myself. I cannot
not true.
I cannot speak to the time. But I will say this. The specific question asked, right, is when we use the model of enthusiastic consent, it can, right, make it seem that those who are trying to persuade others who might at the first be ambivalent, if you will, to having sex, right, but are persuaded to do so, that interaction is predatory.
Or not to do so.
Yeah.
Wait, that's not what I'm talking about, though.
Oh, then can you maybe clarify for me as well?
Yeah, you'll see why. Unless you already watched it.
The
No.
language of enthusiastic consent does not. I'll tell you a story. Okay,
Briefly,
first of all,
briefly, so we can make it.
okay, first of all, fuck what you said about Lav. You're trying to piss me off. I know you're trying to piss me off by bringing that up. Okay.
I think in a lot of situations, I would be like, no, I don't think that's fair to say. Maybe she didn't know or whatever. Even if she didn't intend to, and I have no idea. Maybe she did, maybe she didn't. That's not super relevant to me. But the thing that matters to me is that it's fair for him to assume it by all rights that the only reason somebody would bring up Lav in a specific thing where he's in it is to make him upset. I think it's super fucking fair.
Okay. Second of all, that has nothing to do with what we're talking about. You just like snuck it in there. Okay. Story time. I was with my ex-wife, and she was trying to give me a blowjob in a hotel room, and she looked up at me, and we made eye contact, and she stopped, and she was like, "Are you okay?" And I was like, "What are you talking about?" And she was like, "You look really upset." And I was like, "Okay, I don't know why you're saying that. Don't ever do this to me again. Don't ever say that to me again. This is super invasive and violating. Fuck you. Get the fuck off of me. Don't ever do that to me again. Do not ever stop a sex act to ask me if I'm okay. I will tell you if I'm not okay." I had
Wake's face. I'm gonna go back.
okay. I had been raped.
The whole thing is so good. He was wholly unprepared for that, and I really, really, really liked that. If it doesn't make sense, the reason why he's appalled is because and I get it too. There's a super strong signal when something like that happens, is that you can't take care of your boundaries during this, and so I need to make sure that you're I think it's easy for it, specifically him in this situation, to feel like she's saying like, hey, you're basically a toddler, I need to. Well, that's not a take. That's how he feels. That's how he feels about it. That's not like an opinion that he has. That's like his emotional response. Um, that he feels like he's being told that she needs to take care of his boundaries, make sure that he's okay. When like if a viewer like myself could tell that would be what's going on there, she probably knows this. This is probably made abundantly clear. Seriously though, Mr. Girl, let's slip these tidbits about how incredibly weird it would be to have an intimate personal relationship with him. Uh sure. I think most intimate personal relationships are a lot weirder than we think they are. That's ridiculous. He was everything against it, he said to Destiny during the sex doll interview. That's ridiculous, and it goes against everything he said to Destiny during the sex doll review. Uh, you'll have to show me.
Raised with
I
the
don't think
feminist
so.
values of enthusiastic consent that you're referencing. And I did not have the language to even conceptualize maybe I'm not okay, but maybe I still want a blowjob. Maybe I am upset. Maybe I have a lot of conflicting feelings about what's happening, but I had no way to even begin to grapple with the idea of having mixed feelings while getting a blowjob. And I had had a lot of blowjobs with mixed feelings, and throughout all of them, I just pushed those feelings down because I didn't know, I didn't even literally have the language to even think about what was happening. So I'm not talking about you guys both still keep reducing this to okay, but what's going to give us the best like manual for how to navigate the average situation? I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about an internal ambivalence and how that fits into our conception of consent and just in
Okay.
conversations about consent. And Brianna is telling me that I shouldn't even have those conversations.
Okay. Brianna, the floor is yours.
I'm not saying that at all, dude.
Okay. uh, there's two people in my chat now saying things to me about this. I don't think that. I'll go with Portland first. He said that the extreme reaction he has to this kind of engagement is not something most people would consider an appropriate emotional response. LOL. Okay. Um, it seems like I have seen a lot of situations where a woman is really weird about some sex things and has like a very uncommon reaction to things that most people find pretty normal, and we're pretty chill with it. Uh, she wouldn't have to have necessarily been abused or whatever. We're just like totally on board with it. This is fine. It's okay. But when a man has a strong response to something that's done during sex, that would be seen as uncommon, people have like a much bigger issue with it. I don't think that it's good or bad. I just think that sometimes stuff like that happens. Uh, yeah, kind of, Big C. Maybe he just found it particularly emasculating while she's giving him a blowjob, and he really didn't like it. It can make you feel extremely uncomfortable, and you might have an emotional response. I don't think that's like the craziest thing in the world. Um, like we can talk about whether or not like you should. I don't know if you ever should do a lot of things that we're going to do as an emotional response, but it's not like I don't think it was like abusive or like anything like crazy out of line. I think it's okay that like we have these things. We should just strive to um, not react in a strong way in situations like that, I guess. But like we should also accept that sometimes we're going to, and it's not like a crazy thing for it to happen.
Dude, I'm saying, in fact, for the third time in this talk,
No, you could have said that. I don't think that he could have said that in that moment. I don't think that most people have a super cheery response when they feel very emasculated. I don't know what the situation is, but if that's the thing that's happening there, um, you may not be able to have that kind of response if that's how you felt.
Today, I'm saying
Wow.
that is between you. I'm saying that's between you and a partner. That's for you to decide. If she ends up feeling like that's rape, it's going to end up, going through the court system and getting adjudicated.
Well, I was
I'll decide if
Portland. I was
I'm
kind
on
of
that
responded to
jury, right?
both, and
For you, if it goes
let's see. The way he described it, inappropriate for a married couple, in my opinion. It's a really harsh response. It is harsh. Uh, um, I guess what I'm saying is that this isn't like about right or wrong. It's to me, it's like, is this something that anybody like like when I read stuff like that, it feels like people are saying like, well, I've never had an emotional outburst when somebody got in my feelings that I thought was like not as good as it could have been or something, where I didn't look back at it and go like, huh, I probably overreacted there. That always seems a little bit weird to me. I guess that's all I'm really trying to get at here. If someone checking it before going through with the act is invasive, the ability to communicate sexual desires and boundaries needs some serious work. That's all. Doesn't make him an abusive monster. Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Maybe I use weird language to try to say what I was thinking. And Big C says she didn't emasculate him. He interpreted that by his own internal feelings. Yeah, but that's what emasculation is. It's not up to the person who did it. If somebody emasculates you, then it's the person who feels emasculated that knows if they were emasculated or not. It's not. You can't. If somebody tell somebody like, "Hey, you hurt my feelings," even like they can't be like, "No, I didn't." It's not up to them.
the other way,
It's your
you're going to be
experience.
trying to defend
And
yourself
say she was
from
wrong for it.
false allegations. I'm sorry if you don't want to hear this. Exactly like Lav made against Hassan.
Can I,
It's
can I
going to
just
go
ask?
either way.
What does that have to
Yeah.
do with anything?
I'm
I
giving
I'm
you an
also
example. Wick,
seriously, you're just
Rick,
shoehorning
okay,
it in
please
stop.
because
I'm
y'all like
gonna.
Lav.
Okay, both of you, right?
Lav is
Give
better
me a
than
mo-
all of
both
us
of
put
you,
together.
both of you, both of you, please, please. Um, to be clear, we're going to be talking about consent and what that means, right? Unless
You don't get to decide if somebody else feels emasculated or not. Like I said, I don't even know if that's the case. But it's not up to anybody but the person who received it. It's like you could make somebody mad by doing something that you couldn't ever imagine being mad about. It's just that's not how emotions work. They're not always logical.
very briefly and concisely, you can show me how the Lav thing plays into this concisely, please. Then we're going to have to just move on from that because it's going to be a sticking point. It's not going to work, right? So, just in the interest of the conversation as a whole, I'm going to give you a brief chance to square that circle for me. And otherwise, we're just going to go on. So, please.
Sure. Then really try to hear me here. I'm not bringing this up because I don't think
you are.
it's... Max, please let me finish. I'm not bringing this up to like upset you or anything like that.
Okay, but why are you?
Wick, you've got to let me finish talking, dude.
Okay, I'm just trying to get to the meat of it.
Just let me know when I can talk.
Go ahead.
Never.
Thank you.
You can never talk.
Max, please. Go ahead.
So this is the contention that I have. Enthusiastic consent is a very good model because it protects everyone involved on both sides of the equation, right?
Yeah.
This, generally speaking, is what we are worried about. I think women are obviously worried.
No, that's what you are worried.
Max, you gotta let her finish. You gotta let her finish uninterrupted.
I can't do it, dude. You gotta mute me. I can't do it.
Okay, well then I will help you. I understand. I muted you. Brianna?
Thank you very much,
Go
Rick.
ahead.
I appreciate
Do you think the message of not checking in with the person? No, I don't think that's what he said. I don't think he said he did what was best. I'm just saying, like, this is a situation that I can just imagine happening. Let's see. Portland says, person can feel emasculated, but when you say you emasculate me, it becomes less internal experience and more of an assessment of behavior you feel you've experienced, right? Sure. Yeah. All we can really do when we're expressing ourselves is do our best to articulate like the weird internal things that are going on, try to express it. But like, I feel like that's what feelings are. It's a combination of the thing that's like physically happy. Feelings are like our emotions are like a physical thing that's in response to how we internalize things. And then we give these things like a name, and we kind of put like almost like a metaphysical flair to it, even though there's like physical things happening there. They're really hard to interpret it. And I'm not saying that I think that that's what you should do. In case that's not clear, Pixie and YouTube seems to think that I'm saying like this is the appropriate response that you should have. I don't think it's the appropriate response you should have. I am super communicative with both of my partners about all the things that I do and don't like about sex. And they are super communicative with me. And I'm pretty firm about like making sure that everybody's on the same page. I don't want to accidentally like pass by somebody's emotions during any kind of sexual encounter. I agree with you. I'm just pointing out how when you tell somebody they emasculated you by checking with you during sex, you're basically limiting their agency to feel safe, like they've got sufficient consent during sex. Does that make sense? Yeah. So if that's the way that you feel about that, if you feel like, hey, if you check in on me, I'm going to feel emasculated and that's going to ruin things for me. If that's a real thing that you have, and you're not going to want to continue sex, you do have to express that somehow. So I think the best way to go about that would be to say, hey, if we're doing something, if we're in the middle of a sex act and you get a weird vibe from me, I can very confidently say that if I'm not saying something about it, then I'm fine. I will say something about it. You can have a safe word if you want. You can say, I'll say something about it. Otherwise, if you ask me during it, it might affect me in a way where I can't continue or something like that. If you consider that limiting their agency, that might be the case. But if you say that the person can't say that, then you're just gonna limit. I mean, then you're limiting theirs too. So it seems like when you have, if there's some kind of hang-ups or conflicts in sex, you're gonna have to work out who's gonna have the lesser ability to feel super confident to say something, because like in this situation, somebody's gonna be out. I know you are, and you're very attentive. That's what his wife was doing. Sure, but like, there's a lot of information we don't have, too. He just gave us that one little peek into the situation.
Appreciate that. So, in my view, I think there are two
And
situations here, right?
And so I'm just giving like a charitable version that might help explain like why something like this would make sense, and it's not going to be as negative as I think it's going to come off. Mrgirl's really good at giving us a little window that makes himself look bad, that we don't necessarily know is bad at all. I guess that's kind of the thing that I'm really trying to hammer out here is like here's a potential explanation that makes this make perfect sense, where nobody's really doing anything bad necessarily. It's just an uncomfortable situation sometimes people find themselves in. But they were married. How would he not know that she cared about his feelings? So the action after she asked him was 100% abusive. Uh, I never said anything about anybody being abusive. Um, but I could throw that same argument back at you. They've been married. How would she not know after all that time that he would have a negative reaction to her asking him that? Like, I just think that's like not the best way to approach. If you're saying they're married, how would he not know? Like, there's no way that argument can't go both ways. I actually agree with Max way more than Brianna through this combo. When I watch you, I have to push back on the relentless charity out of pure reflex. I get it. That's my thing too. I'm going to try to represent the thing that people are going to see, and be like, that's the bad thing, and go like, well, here's an alternative way you can look at this. Um,
You have
but that's the same that I would do for most people. If I don't know something that makes me like if I know something that makes me know like, oh no, this person. If I have information that says like it's very likely that you're doing the bad thing, then I'm probably not going to do that. But I don't have any of that information about him.
women, they're obviously afraid of getting trauma that lasts their entire life, right? I think on the other hand, I think the reason we're having all these discussions about consent in the manosphere and these edge cases about, well, she thinks she wants to do it but she doesn't, is because I think a lot of men out there are afraid of getting false allegations, right? In my view, the Lav situation with the son, I would love to tell you as a feminist, like this situation never, ever, ever happens. It does. This was an extremely high profile case.
Uh, that makes sense, Portland. Big C, you keep on like showing how he could have done like the best thing that you could possibly do in that situation. And that's nice, but like oftentimes even really good people don't do the best thing you can do in a situation. Especially like if it's an emotional situation. Uh so like uh, I'm not saying that he did the right thing or that like you should do this thing or anything like that. I'm just suggesting that it's not gonna be uh, like I don't have an immediately negative reaction when I hear these things because I understand that people are messy, especially when it comes to emotions, and I don't expect them. I don't expect everybody to behave in like a super perfect manner, and I don't think it's good to have. It's good to aspire to have like really good reactions to things, but I don't think it's great to expect it from everybody. We
I'm
should
just
be
going to quote
realistic
this
about how
from
people are
Lav
going to
right here.
react.
Max and I are separate. I'm not part of his project in any way. I'm not trying to attack you, Max. I'm trying to bring up the most notable example of false allegations to happen recently. It was really upsetting to anyone serious about having a feminist conversation about consent to have someone out there making wildly false claims.
Okay.
So to me, it's that mixture of both of them.
Okay. I will now unmute you, Mr. Girl, and you are
Uh,
free to go ahead,
What's the
please.
false claim you're talking about that was so irresponsible or evil for the feminist movement?
Uh, if I can talk, I'm happy to answer that.
Yeah, go ahead.
So the thing that happened is Lab basically came forward on a popular person's stream.
No, Portland. Uh, that makes perfect sense. And I agree. I think I agree with everything that you said. I think the important thing to note is that like one of the things about Mr. Girl's content is that when he does these things, he never says and that's how people should act. It's not like he's saying that. He's pretty comfortable showing the ugly parts of himself and then not making excuses for it. Um and I think there's a lot of value to not hiding that kind of thing. Like if you do an ugly thing, I think it's good to talk about it. and expose that, because I think most people just try to hide that shit and act like it didn't happen. He said, do you think I don't understand this? I think you do understand it, but that's not the stuff that you're presenting. So I'm just responding to what you're presenting, not to what I assume you understand. Big C. Uh, yeah, he even said before too, he doesn't want to make excuses for himself, and like give the caveat as to like why what he does is okay, in a lot of his videos, because if you make the excuse for yourself, then it's like you're soiling the message.
And she said
I think you're saying it and
that
taking
she
it
had a
back at the
nuke
same
to
time.
drop on Hassan. And eventually she made an allegation that Hassan had had sex with someone that was underage.
Where did she make the allegation?
Was it Mr. Chud's server, Mr. Chud's Discord, if I'm
Chud
remembering
Logic?
correctly? Yeah, Chud Logic, his Discord. And basically, this obviously got picked up by a bunch of people. Hassan had a very long stream, basically calling it false. And eventually, Lav admitted it was a complete mistake and she was erroneous. I've got the quote right here. It's not my story to tell, and I should not have told it, along with apologizing for making those false
Wait,
claims
is
about
that
Hassan.
her admitting that the claim is false?
Yes, that was part of it.
When did she say that the claim was false?
In the same stream I'm quoting right there.
Do you have a quote?
I don't have that with me right now.
Okay.
I think that some people need check-ins more than other people do. I think that it's fine to do check-ins, especially if you have reason to think that you'd need them. And it's super important to just be aware of how the person's reacting when you're in that situation. I don't think we always need check-ins though. Yeah.
I am not familiar enough to say either way, so I cannot weigh in on this, unfortunately.
Okay. My understanding is that Lav said that Hassan had sex with a 17-year-old when he was 25 in a Discord server with maybe 100 people in it, something like that. She might have repeated it in Chud's server, which is larger. She then made a public statement on Patreon where she said that he had sex with a 19-year-old. Or no, she said that he had sex with her friend and it was legal.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I agree that these are contradictory statements. The second one was made after the first, as time goes. And in the second statement, she said that the girl was of legal age.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so your contention is, despite her making a public statement that he did not statutorily rape her friend, because she had made an earlier statement in a Discord server that was not true, or that contradicts that statement, we and every streamer on Earth should parade around the first quote because it contradicted the second and string Lav up as the false accuser.
I think she was a false accuser in this situation. I think it speaks to this nightmare scenario that a lot of men have, that they will be falsely accused of sexual misconduct. And I think for me, as someone who has, like I've literally run for office, this is something I feel very seriously about, right? I think it really
My question is about
undermines.
why does everybody want to talk about Lavs? It always comes back to Lav. I don't think that. Listen, I've been in this the false accusation business,
Mhm.
receiving them for quite a while. Um, people, streamers, are saying all kinds of things about me on stream, in Discord servers, constantly, and a lot of them aren't true. But I don't feel the need to find every single false or contradictory accusation about myself and try to publicly humiliate the person who made them. People call me Mr. Rapist
Mhm.
in my subreddit.
It's true,
They
they
call me
do.
a rapist constantly. But
Okay.
but you know
Yeah.
what? That's okay. I don't think that I don't think the cops are going to come like arrest me because somebody called me a rapist in Discord server. People okay, and Hassan for his part, I think handled it really well. He just
Yeah.
said He did a brief stream saying, "Hey, that's not true. I don't appreciate it."
I
And
think
then
she
he
was a
fucking stopped
component of
talking
it.
about it. So I
If
don't
I
think that's a. I don't think
If
that's a.
if I
I don't. I
may,
don't think
if I
that's
could
that's
just
not
hold
the.
on,
That's
Mike.
wait
Hold
wait.
on,
That's
Mike.
not
Hold
that's
on,
that's not the nightmare scenario. The nightmare scenario is that somebody goes to the mainstream media and the police and makes a sworn statement that you raped them.
got you.
Not that you had sex with their
I
friend when
want
they
to
were
give.
17.
I want to.
Who
I want
fucking
to.
cares if
Okay,
Hassan had sex with a
we are going,
17-year-old?
Mr. Girl, right? Oh, I want Brianna to be able to
Sure.
respond to this, so we're gonna let
Repeat this
Brianna
very
respond
carefully.
to this.
Full disclosure, this is probably going to be a part one. I didn't think it was going to be this sleepy. I'm really tired. And I've been really bad about going to bed when I should. Go for a little bit longer, but I'm probably going to zonk out and then pick this up tomorrow. Probably in the evening. In the 5 to 6 o'clock. I wanted to go longer, but like, goddamn. I'm just like a lot more tired than I thought I was.
Really
Go
try to
ahead.
hear me here, Max. The
Yeah.
reason that Hassan got the benefit of the doubt from the community, from me, when I first heard that accusation, I go, you know what?
I'm
Hassan
trying.
has talked about enthusiastic consent a trillion times on his stream. I know what he thinks about it. I know that he has talked about this with the Andrew Callahan
Okay, great.
situation. And this is someone that I personally am prepared to give the benefit of the doubt to. So, in my view, this is a case of that standard, like protecting him
Okay. To
against
be
certain
clear,
things.
Brianna,
No,
just
when
real
somebody
quick, real quick, let me ask Brianna because I want clarity on this too.
Sure.
Brianna, so your contention here is that by espousing this idea of enthusiastic
Yeah, I'm okay. I'm
consent,
just tired.
that doing so will protect the people who does that from false allegation. Is that your argument?
I want to be really clear here
It doesn't make any
because
sense.
it's tricky language. Okay, what I'm saying.
Don't miss tomorrow's WIC TV panel. Portland is Burning Lab, Smugbug, and a few others will finally solve the masturbation conundrum. I will watch it. However, I already solved it when I talked to Smugbug, and then Tuna buried his corpse after I left.
Is if we as a society, if we are saying the standard we hold ourselves to overall,
Jesus.
when people are engaging in discourse in sexual intercourse, right, is enthusiastic consent. I believe that's going to lead to less situations that are uncomfortable for everyone involved.
Okay.
Oh, pardon me.
What do you think, Mr. Girl?
I think saying you believe in enthusiastic consent and talking about it has no bearing on whether you privately rape somebody. It's not like people who rape people ideologically believe in rape.
Yeah, that was a really, really, really bad argument. That's fair, Portland. Yeah, I agree. This will be dead tomorrow. I think people will be talking about it quite a bit tomorrow. It gets. Have you seen this yet? It gets so wild. Either way, I'm obligated to talk about it. Mrgirl's first trip back to YouTube in quite some time. Saying that you trust somebody more because they talk about enthusiastic consent a lot is bad. It's just a bad argument. I can talk about not murdering people all the time, and I wouldn't get any more credibility if I was like somebody accused me of murder. Like, what? That guy? He hates murder. Don't you know that? Not him. He hates it. Talks about how he hates murder all the time. It's just not a good. This is a really bad defense.
They are just doing it even though they don't agree with it or think it's wrong.
Can I ask both of you? This is a question.
Wait,
for
wait,
both
wait,
of you.
no,
No,
stop. You guys are.
Oh.
This is terrible. This is the worst conversation ever. No, I don't. Wick, I don't want to. I don't want to do this. It is very obvious from your line of questioning and Brianna's answers that she doesn't really have a way to tie in her bringing up Lav and Hassan to what she's talking about. It really has nothing to do with what we're talking about. No one thinks.
I don't
No
agree
one.
with that.
I know you don't. No one thinks that Lav is saying that Hassan brutally
My question has
rapes.
nothing to do with laugh, to be clear.
I know.
I'm
I
trying to move
understand
off
that.
of it.
I know you're trying to move off of it, but I don't want to. I don't want Brianna to get away with this. I don't want to move off
How
of
do
it
you suggest that I hold her accountable?
by letting me finish what I'm saying.
Go ahead.
It's a really thankless task for me to have to lay out all of the different ways that what you said isn't related to what we're talking about. I don't. The question that was put to you, Brianna, was how do you square the broad application of enthusiastic consent with all of the many outliers that all of us experience at one time or another? It's the idea that there's anybody who goes through their entire sex life without experiencing extreme ambivalence or confusion at one point or another. What Wick was asking you is how do you square that? How do you teach somebody to navigate those situations if you're only teaching them about the ideal, the feminist Boy Scout ideal of how you should handle those situations? You bringing up Lav and in Lav's the statement that triggered the dog pile on her most public statement in an essay was that Hassan didn't statutorily rape her friend. Now I understand that she. Yes, if you can read her you want me to read her Patreon post to you right now? Maybe we can clear up
finish. Go ahead.
Maybe we can clear up this bit of misinformation.
Do we disagree that this whole thing started because she made the false claim that Hassan raped a
Yes, we
child?
disagree. That claim had been made much earlier.
It started from there, man.
No,
that was the issue at hand.
No, I didn't. That's not true. Hold on.
Okay.
Okay. In the meantime, while he's getting that up, I will ask Brianna just briefly.
Okay.
My understanding of the situation is that nobody gave a shit about what she said in the Discord. It got brought up that she said it in the Discord first after she said it in the Patreon. That is my understanding. And he's quoting the Patreon. Now, if somebody can show me how the time doesn't line up, I'd be interested in looking into that. But that's always been my understanding of the timeline of those events.
Okay. Wait, I got it.
You got it? Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. Steven. I don't have it. Wait, I have it.
You're teasing me, buddy.
I guess Hassan just hallucinated the video where he talked about the false allegations, which is where I heard about it. So.
Well, that's not actually contradicting anything I just said to you.
True.
Okay.
What I said is that Lav made a statement in a Discord server that Hassan had sex with her friend when she was like 17.
Okay.
She then made this statement, which triggered all of the streams and responses. Even though this statement was that. Okay, here we go. Hassan Piker. Okay. Hassan Piker slept with my very young friend when he was not so young. It was legal. But he's denounced men publicly for doing much less. I don't care about it, and she's never going to come forward, but the fact exists nonetheless. Nothing will come of it, and it won't be held over my head.
Wait, wasn't that after the Patreon thing, though? Pretty sure it was. I'm going to play this. Still, I'm just going to go grab my thing of cookies my wife made me for Valentine's Day so that I can eat them while I try to stay awake for this. She said that Hassan made her vibrate and she was going to drop a nuke right then, and Destiny came in and said stop. So she didn't say it on the stream then.
Okay. Would we both agree that Lav has a real history of changing her story 5 or 6 times after the fact?
You're developing your own little history of changing your story 5 or 6 times if you don't answer this question.
I'm not
Do you agree that?
here. Sure, go ahead.
Oh, well, you are now, because now you're lying or misinformed. You're either willful. Now you've been informed. So this was her public statement. This was the Patreon post that triggered all the streams about how Lav falsely accused Hassan Piker of rape. So tell me.
If that is true, it's not to my understanding. I don't know.
I know
and
that. That's why I'm trying
being,
to
Max, let me finish, please.
I'm trying to
Max,
repair your understanding.
Max.
Okay, you can
It
just say
seems to
you didn't
me
know.
that
It's okay. You didn't know.
Hassan, in the main video that I saw, the main issue he took issue with was the allegation that she was underage at the fact. And I think that the mens rea that Lav demonstrated by saying on a popular streamer's site, saying, I'm about to drop a nuke on Hassan, right? I don't think like, oh, Hassan has empower
That
or
was
balance
she
in
didn't
his
say
relationships.
she didn't say I'm about to drop a nuke on
Yes, she
Hassan.
did. She
No.
did.
Okay.
It was
Show
I'm
me
going
the
to
quote.
drop a nuke on Hassan or something. I
Do
watched
you
it
have
today. Yeah.
do you have a quote
You-
for that, Brianna?
I
Do you have,
believe
like, a clip?
what she said
Okay,
is
fair enough.
I have a Hassan nuke. I don't think she said
Yeah.
I'm going to drop a nuke on.
That's a
Oh, well,
distinction
those
without a
those are
difference.
different. I think those are pretty different.
I think that's a distinction without a difference. So,
Well,
but the
I don't
point
think
that
so.
I'm
I think in
bringing
one
up here,
she's clearly stating an intent to destroy him, and the other she's
correct.
saying I know something bad about him.
Okay,
Correct. So an imbalance in the power differential is not something
Okay.
that is a nuke, right?
We are-
Saying someone slept with
we
an
are
underage
dancing.
woman.
We are dancing
This-
here.
yeah, I
Wick,
don't
you gotta stop talking
want to
over
do this. I just wanted to say for the record that
Wick really wanted to make that
the
stop.
statement that Lav made that triggered all of this was a public statement that Hassan didn't.
I'll probably look into this tomorrow on stream. That way, if Mrgirl's wrong here, I can just like call it out.
Rape her friend.
But I don't know for sure exactly the timeline. That was my impression, but I could be wrong.
Some particular. Okay, this is her Patreon statement. I'll say it again. It was legal. Hassan Piker slept with my very young friend when he was not so young. It was legal, but he's denounced men publicly for doing much less. That is the public statement that she made that caused all of these other streamers to dig out her other statements in Discord servers that he had sex with her friend when she was like 17.
Okay.
I agree that these statements are contradictory, but I think my view of the situation is that the private accusation was brought out after the public non-accusation in order to smear her. And Hassan was just a casualty in that process. Lav was not trying to attack Hassan.
Then why did she say she wanted to drop a nuke on Hassan?
She didn't say that, and you just admitted she didn't say that. What she said is she had a nuke on Hassan. You said it was a distinction without a difference. Now you're going back to the original quote showing that actually you do think there's a difference, and I'm glad you agree with me on that.
No. What I'm saying is that intends an intent to attack.
It
what
does,
you just
but she
said,
didn't say that.
Max,
Okay,
what you
you're
just
not
said
allowed
me
to
is
say.
that she
Okay,
didn't.
Wick, I would like to make a rule that when we're making accusations about other people who aren't here, exact quotes have to be provided with screenshots.
That's
That
ridiculous.
is what he's saying,
Let's
Fox.
have a conversation.
Okay. So
There's
I'm
no
gonna
reason there's no reason to bring up
okay,
Lav in the fucking
I will
conversation
mute
in
you
the first
both.
place.
I will mute you both while we discuss this because I do want it to be a conversation, but I do think, right, that it is a reasonable request to at least have the quote on
It's a good call to mute them.
hand. Is
Very
that a
good call
reasonable
to mute.
request we can agree to, Brianna? Yes. Do you think that's a good idea?
No, I don't.
No.
I think
Okay.
it's
Can you tell
clear
me why?
that I came prepared with a lot of research in front of me and a lot of quotes prepared. I think anyone out there looking at this can see I did my homework on this. There it is.
Okay. Is this, Mrgirl, is this going to be a point that we can move off of? Because I would absolutely love to move off of.
I would like to hear Wick. I would like to hear your opinion.
On.
Do you, if Brianna doesn't have the quotes and doesn't know the timeline and doesn't know what she's talking about,
I have described a timeline, to be clear.
You have described a timeline, but it was incorrect. Everything you've said about this, in my do you want me to tell you the dates these things happened?
You had a question for me? Maybe.
Yeah, my question is, do you personally think that if Brianna does not have the quotes and dates, and that she is ironically making unfounded accusations about somebody else's unfounded accusations, which is the entire thing that Lav was worried about in the first place, is that somebody was going to trot out something she had said in Discord server and use it to smear her, which is exactly what's happening right now. do you agree that Brianna, in order to be prepared to do that, she should really have exact quotes and the dates that those quotes were said, since she's already shown that even the slightest change to a quote can completely change its meaning?
Okay. So I will say this. I do not know enough about the situation to know who is correct here. I don't
I'm not
know,
asking you
right?
to, that's not what I'm asking you. I'm asking you, as the person who's platforming this
Sure.
conversation, are you comfortable with
Sorry.
a contested accusation about somebody else's accusations, somebody who is specifically afraid of words being put in their mouth?
I understand. Okay, I think
Are you comfortable? Are you comfortable platforming
I couldn't get that out of my head too, Tuna. I thought it was really, really weird that he has it set up like that. Oh man. I got like a few more minutes left in me. And then I'll pick it up maybe even in the afternoon, rather than in the evening. Yeah, I was paying attention to the fact that he had that up there like that the whole time.
conversation about that without exact quotes and dates?
Can I have a moment to consider?
Yeah.
So let me tell you my thought process here. I think that Brianna, in previous discussions, has demonstrated that she is well researched, that she is able to get research up. She's able to back up what she says, perhaps not in the moment, but she has demonstrated to me in the past that she will back it up. So if she does not have the quotes now, she will bring them forward. Also, if she is incorrect and finds out,
I'm may have to go back over it, but I'm pretty confident that Mrgirl's saying that nobody gave a shit until the Patreon.
that she is incorrect, she has before and will again retract and change. And in that context, I am comfortable with her at least bringing it up. I'm also comfortable, to be clear, with you challenging her assertions, providing your own quotes. Is that not clear?
Yeah, the retract and change thing, as I think we're seeing here in the example of Lav, doesn't work that well. So I don't see how it's relevant to the topic.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Tuna, I didn't even see that you
like
messaged me. If you want to call in tomorrow, that's fine. I'm probably gonna wrap this up in like 5 minutes. I'm really, really tired. I need to get some sleep. My head hurts. My throat is scratchy. Not sick. It just happens when I get too sleepy. But I very much welcome you to do that. I'd love to have you on to talk about this. It'd be great. Oh, I see. Well, if something else pops up, by all means.
Trying to spring this on me.
I did want to move off of it.
It is relevant, Max.
You
again.
wanting to move off of it
Look, let me.
is not.
Y'all have talked
it
so
is-
much.
it is-
Give me just 2 minutes here, okay?
You have 2
My-
minutes. Go ahead.
My central like idea.
I thought that was his argument. Yeah, we can talk about consent tomorrow.
Max, I'm really hoping I can sell you on today. So we
Well,
have to get
consent is
past
hot.
this idea that in order for women to win, men have to lose. And we have to move past this idea for men to win, women have to lose, which I think is a general theme in many of your statements about consent. We're all working together. We should have mutually entangled interests.
At this moment, I don't
believe
remember
if
it. I think I'm a little
enthusiastic
too sleepy.
consent is the standard. I think it's very clear for men what's going on.
I remember when you said
very
it. I
clear
just can't
for
remember what
women
you said.
what's going on. It's going to cause less harm than these situations. And I'm giving you an example of a situation. It's not the only one I have today. I've got some studies right here from the CDC I would love to get to. But I think it's a really good example. We have to get past this idea that the other person has to lose. As a society, like mutually entangled interests, competing groups with mutually entangled interests tend to be very, very stable. This is why we've had the longest period of prosperity and relative peace around the world since World War II. So I think if we can all agree to this standard, I can convince you that generally speaking, this is in your best interest, and I agree generally speaking, this is in women's best interest. I think this is the best place to move to.
Okay. Are we good?
Me?
Well, I'm asking Brianna.
I'm
Did you
good.
get out what you
I'm
needed
done.
to?
Okay.
I
Yes.
give you the space. Excellent.
Okay, I'm gonna that since there's like a breaking point here, I'm gonna end it here for now. I'm gonna pick this back up tomorrow. I'm gonna leave my video paused right where it's at. Let's see. They've been literally having different conversations since the first sentence. Yeah, they don't communicate almost at all through the whole thing. I do think no matter what, I don't care what anybody says. I don't feel like debating the point at all that it was a bad move to bring up Lav if you didn't want to derail and not get a lot talked about when you're talking to Mrgirl. There's plenty of people that do want to talk about Lav and to make points about her to her detriment. But Mrgirl's not the one to do that with. He doesn't like to talk about her like that at all, and it is antithetical to having a productive conversation. She could have made the exact same point without bringing her up. There is literally no point in bringing her up to Mrgirl if you want to have a productive conversation. It's just a bad idea. He said he didn't want to talk about her in this, and then it looks like he's the one that's stuck on it. But the thing is that once it's already out there, now he has to say things to try to undo what was said, so to speak. He's got to like defend the thing that was said. He wanted it to stop before it got that far. It didn't, so now he has to. He feels like he has to do the thing that he has to do. So it's not. It would be like if I said, "Hey, don't bring up my wife," and then the person goes ahead and makes this like point about my wife that I don't agree with, and then I'm like, "Okay, well," and then I start to explain the thing and clear her name, and then somebody's like, I don't even know why we're still on the subject of your wife. You said you don't want to be on it. I gotta fix the thing that you did now. Whether I'm right or wrong, or that person was right or wrong, that's just how that would be. It wouldn't be like I'm stuck on it. It's like that I'm trying to fix the thing. Big C, I'll tell her that you said hi. Um, I want to. I do want to see the panel tomorrow. Not 100% sure that I'll be able to watch it, but if you can, you should watch it. Portland's gonna be there. It'll be good. Um, you need to grow the hell off and have a talk about how not wanting to have sex isn't an illness, but a logical reaction to the world women live in. I agree. For sure, if he really wanted to help protect her, he would realize that correcting people aggressively and belaboring the point will only drag it out and make things worse for her. Yeah. Oh, are you gonna be on that too? Did he say your name on there? Oh, he didn't say your name on Portland didn't drop your name on there. I didn't know you were gonna be there. That's how I did drop your name. I guess into the chip too. Um I'm gonna try to catch. I got a lot of work to do, and I have so much more writing to do for the Chud Logic roast. And Tuna, you're gonna be there. I hope you got your jokes ready to go. I have to write so many more jokes because I basically have to make fun of everybody. Um, Other than that, uh, keep an eye out for the tweet. Have your notifications enabled. Hopefully you have the bell checked on the YouTube channel. And enables damn notifications enabled on Twitch. That's how tired I am. I'm barely ready, but I work fast. Jesus, good job. All right, I'm gonna go to bed. We will pick this up tomorrow. Thank you everybody for coming here. Sorry, I said before people got here, I tried. I didn't know that I was going to be this tired, but I ended up being. You see, I'm gonna be real. I love this guy. Shit is all. Oh, I love to give this guy shit is all. Yeah. You should see me on his channel. I give it right back. Yeah, good night. Thanks for stopping by. Hopefully, I'll see you guys tomorrow. And I didn't bum people out too much by, God damn it, by, getting sleepy. Oh, one last thing before I go. Tuna Chip, myself, and Key of Weird did a tier list of all the songs of Mrgirl's album. I'm trying a new video editor because the one that I use right now is way too expensive. I'm trying the free version with the watermark on it for the one video, and if it turns out really good, I'm gonna use it. It's like $500 a year cheaper. It's very affordable, and while I like Premiere, this is very budget friendly. It'll be uploaded sometime tomorrow. So yeah, we'll be by the way, I'm gonna DM you. Don't vote as number one.